Hi, this is Stephen with Fairs Management Interactive, better known as Fairs MI. And lately, clients have been approaching us about extending the use of the Fairs MI Planner to be used with infrastructure planning for renovations and other things. And at the top of the list is to begin making utility maps of their facility. And we've got a good system for that. And it really does just rely on the basics with two additional skills that need to be added to create a utility map. So here is what a utility map might look like, and you can see the different colors for the different types of utilities. Here's water in blue and electric in red. And we've got symbol nodes for the different junctions and transformers and things like that. Now, the two new skills added on to your basic skills would be number one, layers. And the layer tool allows you to put the separate utilities on each layer. And with that, you can actually turn off a layer or you can lock it so that you can't accidentally move it. And you can add a new layer and begin making something, maybe a gas line. So the first new skill is how to use layers, and we'll be getting into that. This is your layers. Right here on the end is your layers on and off map. Now you can move this around and you can turn it off when you want and turn it on when you need it again. The next new skill is called boundaries, and it's the next one over on the left. And this can be used for utility lines, or it can be used to map out physical boundaries on your fairgrounds in terms of your attendee control. So let's look at this a little bit closer now and see what we have. So we've got a line that we've created for this, and then we've got our icon symbol for the type of utility we're creating. How do we begin that? Well, the first thing we would do is we would make a new layer. And all you do is go to your layers. You can see it says add layer, add. You double click. I'm going to go ahead and just type in gas and rename. Now I'm going to go ahead and lock these other layers so I don't accidentally move them. And I'm going to make sure that this one is highlighted, so we are now, anything we draw will be on this gas layer. So the next thing I would do is go over to my boundary line and I would click on it. And when I do, it will approximately put it in the center of your screen. Whatever zoom you have, it'll be in the center. And there you go, there it is. It's in black. And if you drag each end, you can see that you can stretch it out between 2 points. Now you can also snap it in the middle and start making more complex shapes. There we go. I'm just moving around here. And it's still black, so what we want to do is we want to change it to make it a different color. Now, over on the right, if you look at your lessons, this is your customization screen. I'm going to go down here where it says line and where it's black, and I'm going to go and I'm going to click on yellow and hit apply. So now I've started making a utility for the gas line. Now, these are the two new skills, layers and boundary lines. But how we begin this is a little bit different. So now I'm going to start going backwards a little bit. One of the things I want to talk about is that we make a special map for utilities. You can see we make it this monochrome dark version of your mapping, and this allows the colors to stand out and contrast. And typically what you'll do is you'll see it in your list of areas and buildings. And so here is your utility map, and so when I click on that, this is the map that comes up. Now you'll see that when you start out fresh, all you get is your utility map background, which is the actual background itself, and you get an untitled layer. And what happens is the background is locked, so that if you're doing normal layouts of your fairground, everything would be created on this first layer. The next thing we want to talk about, and let's go back and look at our original plan, is these nodes, I call them. Now I'm going to unlock all of them so I can click on them. So these nodes are actually icons, and I'll show you how we create those. Let's go into here. So we start with a pod, and you have to go back to your first 3 lessons. We've started putting out these what we call flashcard lessons, which are less than 3-minute lessons that take some of the skills and bring them down into small bites. And what we want to do is learn about pods to create this. These 2 booths are what we call a minimum pod. If we were laying out a pod, starting a group of booths, which everything that's on the floor planner is a group of booths or a pod, whether it be 2, 1, or 10. If we were inside a building, we might put 5 booths in a row, 10 by 10, 5 aisles, and width, and so forth and so forth. Drag this guy here, and of course that would be a layout for inside of a building. But outside, we typically do what I call as a minimum pod, and that would be 1 booth in a row, 1 aisle, drag that over, and now we've got those 2 booths. What I normally do is I would click on 1. Now we know we've got that 1 booth isolated because we've just got the dots around that 1 single booth. I hit my delete key. Now I got 1 booth. Now I'm going to start beginning my creation of nodes, and that's the way I would suggest you do your utilities first, is locate the end points of your different lines first with the proper symbols. How do I create this? Well, first we go to our icon objects, which are different types of shapes that we can substitute for that square. And you'll see we have tabletops and we have bleachers and all kinds of stuff. But right here we have some geometric symbols. So I would make sure that this booth is highlighted with the 4 dots. I would go to that cross pattern like what's above, and I would hold my shift key down and simply click. Now it's got the number in there, which I don't want, so then I just go down to my booth control and I just hit delete for that and OK. So now I've got my symbol, only it's white. So what do we do next? We go into our custom control. Here it says fill, and you'll see it's white, but we want red. So I'll go to red and I'll hit apply, and there we go. From there, make sure the dots are around that first one. You can either go edit, copy, edit, paste, and create these different node points, or you can click on it and you can use your keyboard and you can do Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and then hit Control V again if you want a third one and start lining those guys up in between your spots. Now, the next thing you can do, I would suggest, is when you're setting up these nodes, especially for the more important junctions, as you see when we click on this 1 booth, the exhibitor data for a booth is normally where we put the company, the products, the description. But in terms of a utility map, you can see right here, I've labeled this one, and I simply click on that node. I put the type of utility it is, and then a specific type like a transformer. And then what's key to this is put your GPS location here. So now when you have an emergency or something like that, and you need to know where to dig for this, you can click on it and bring up your GPS location and create that. So that's basically it. What you would do is you would start by creating these lines, or I'm sorry, start by creating the nodes, as I call them. Then you would click your boundary line. Whoops, excuse me, I hit that's a measured distance. Let me pull this guy over. It's this one. You can see it highlights and tells you what it is, but that's boundary line. So I hit boundary line. Now I can go ahead and pull it in between these two different areas. Now I can go to my customization where it says line style is where you want to do for your colors typically, and then go for that black and let's change it to red. Hit apply, and there you go. Now you don't have to make you don't have to make um, a million single lines. You could go and take this guy, put one over here, one over here, and if we knew that it had to go here first as a connection, you can grab in the middle. And if we said we need it over here too, you can grab it like that. So you can make a complex connection with a single line if you like. Now again, let's flip it over. So all this takes place on the layer map. And the layer map, again, to review, is just if you want to make a new layer, you hit the add button, you double click on it, you go ahead and put in what type of utility you want to put in there, rename it, make sure it's highlighted. Typically when you're going to start drawing those nodes, you want to go ahead and lock the others, and then you begin by dropping in these nodes and these symbols. Now we've got a few of these symbols here, but if you've got utility symbols that you prefer, then send them to us, contact us, and we will put these into your list, and you can use the actual symbols that relate to the utility maps that you are referring to recreate here online. And then when you need a utility map, you can pull up all or not, none. You can also, there's several other tricks to go from here, but that's what you need to do. You need to have the skill to create a pod. So you need to be able to make a pod. You need to be able to go to your icon control. Right here is where you click it and substitute the icon. You need to go to your custom side and colorize it, and then go ahead and file, save your drawing. Now I do recommend that you at least read the first three, or look at the first three of our flashcard uh, demo learning videos, and I would especially like you to contact me before you begin, and I can work with you and tune you up a little bit so everything gets going quicker. And I think that's about it for now. We're going to try to refine these videos as we go, but I wanted to get these out to clients as soon as possible because we're getting a lot of requests, because in addition to the different changes that we need to make in our planning according to the health considerations, there's a lot of new planning going on, but also it's a good time to start working on the infrastructure of your fair and organizing the utilities and renovations and some of the property line managements and things like that. So there you go. I hope this helps. Give me a call and we'll get you started on utilities.